pass my girl. You're such a blessing, girl. Would have for the rest of my life. A blessing, girl. A blessing, blessing. You're such a blessing, girl.
What's up, love gang? It's me, Russhana.love, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how I did this side part install with a nice side swoop bang. It was so cute, laid, melted, all of that. Keep watching to see how I did it, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to start off with some plucking. Now this is a perfect lace frontal to do a plucking tutorial too, because this lace frontal did come kind of thick. So what you guys saw me do at first was spray it with some water and then combed it all back. Then I'm taking my tweezer on the flat side and I'm beginning right at the front to get that very front thin. And then I'm going to just take a part in a jagged motion with my tweezer and then start plucking from behind there. And every time I feel like a section is parted enough, then I will go in and part some more. What I'm doing now is I'm parting it off in a side part because my client wants a side part. So as I said before in my previous videos, you want to make sure and know what kind of part your client wants, or know what kind of part you want, because you want to pluck according to that part. Now if you're doing a side part, you don't want to go in and pluck the side part too much, because you see how I go backwards when I'm plucking. You don't want to go ahead and pluck into the part, because then when you part it, the part is going to have a lot of bald spots, and that's something you do not want. So I'm parting it before I start plucking all the way up there, so I know where to not pluck too much. Also, even if you're doing the initial install with a side part, still do not pluck the both sides and the middle part too much, because if the first install is with a side part and you go back where the middle part should be, when you want to reuse the frontal, the middle part is going to look mad bald, and that's something you do not want, because you want to get a lot of uses out of your frontal, or you want to get at least 2 uses out of the frontal. So in order to save some money, you will pluck accordingly, and certain spots you do not want to go too far back in, because then you're going to have a bald part if you want to do a middle part or a side part the second time you're installing. Hope that made sense, because that was a lot to say. But yeah, so mind you, instead of going straight across when you're going backwards, do like a kind of zigzag part or a jagged part, because that just helps it look more natural, and that prevents it from getting bald spots in specific areas. So that's what you want to do. I don't know about y'all, but for me, I get a lot of wears out of my frontals. Like, I have lace frontal wigs for like years, and it's not even about being cheap. It's just because I know how to take care of the frontals. Like, at the end of the day, you have to remember your frontal is not your real hair, and you do not want to put too much pressure on it, and you don't want to be combing it every second, because of course it's gonna start balding. So for me, I have lace wigs for forever. And another thing is that I don't wear it a lot. Like, say if I install a wig today, which is Monday, by Saturday it's out, so I have time to like switch up and not run down one wig or run down one lace, because you know, after you wear it for so long, you know, it gets wear and tear and it starts balding and stuff. So that's another way I keep my frontals for a long time, is just not wearing them too much and not manipulating them too much. So I'm going to just finish plucking, and I'll be back to talk to you guys when I'm doing something different. Another thing is that once I feel like I went far back enough, I go back in and I comb it all back, and then once it's combed all back, I just pluck out parts that looks too thick compared to the rest of the hair, because you want to have a gradient effect. You want to go from thick to thin, and you don't want any abrupt stops. So parts that I feel like is too much hair compared to the rest of the other sections, I will go back in and pluck those parts accordingly. now that it's the day of the install, I did glue down the ball cap off camera, and if you guys would like to know, I glue my ball caps down with some Frontal and I put foundation on, and that's all I do. Now I'm just going ahead and cutting it off. Once I'm finished cutting it off with the scissors, I go in with a smaller scissors that you can get on Amazon. It's like you can just type in like thread scissors, something like that, and you'll be able to find it. And once that is all off, I'm fitting the frontal to her head to see where it looks best, and just placing it how it should be placed, a little bit above the ball cap. Now, one thing that I was really bummed about is the fact that how I plucked it, I didn't go too far back. So how I plucked it, I had to cut off most of it, so I had to repluck once it was on her head. But that's fine, it's okay. Now I'm just sewing the frontal onto her head. You guys can see the right side of me doing it, so this is the left side of me sewing it. So I just cut when I was sewing on the right side out because you guys can see anyways. I'm still working on my camera placement, like it be, I don't know, I'm sorry, but a lot of my angles be off OD, and I'm trying to work on that. But you guys can see what I'm doing from this angle on the left side. But what I do is I just sew straight across onto the braids, not into the cap, to the braids, and then once I'm done, I cut it and I double tie it and just cut that excess thread off. Then for the excess cap in the back, what I do is I just take some scissors and I cut that straight off again. There is a lot remaining, but that's fine. I'm gonna sew right over it with the bundles. Now I'm cutting off the excess lace, and I do this before I start gluing down. I used to leave the lace on while I'm gluing, but now I cut it off before I start gluing down. And when I cut in a zigzag motion, and this is what I was talking about. You see how like I'm cutting off some of the hair with it? The way I plucked, I accounted for that section, so once it was glued down, you know, the thin hairline was kind of gone. So what I had to do was I had to repluck when I was on her head, but I didn't have to pluck too much because I did go far back, but it wasn't far back enough for my liking, so I had to go back in and pluck some more because the thin parts that I did pluck that was supposed to be in front of the hairline got cut off. Hope that made sense. Now I'm cutting off the excess lace, and what I do is I just part it out with the scissors, and then once I feel like it's suitable enough, then I just cut straight down, trying not to cut any of the hair off, because if you cut the hair off, then it just wouldn't look good and you will have like little pieces of hair sticking out from the lace, and that's not cute at all. Now I felt like the cap was too far down, so I'm just trying to unstick a little bit to cut it off because I don't want that to show beyond the lace when I glue it down. Next, I'm gonna clean off the hairline with some rubber alcohol. Now I'm gluing down. For glue, I'm using bowl told, not the active, the regular bowl told. And then you wanna spread it out with anything. Honestly, I'm using these disposable icicle sticks, I think you call them. So I'm spreading it out with that. You wanna get the glue spread out as much as possible, and I do 3 layers of glue. I also work in sections now. I used to go straight across, but now I prefer going in sections so that I can focus on one area at a time, so I wouldn't be too like just doing too much at one point. I'm gluing over the left side first because that's where the part's gonna be, so I want to make sure this part is done first and secure and laid, and then I'll move on to the rest of the hair. And I'm not gonna film all 3 parts, but this is like the 3rd time I was doing it, and you want to wait till the majority of the first section is clear before you add the second section and the 3rd section. And if you get a little bit of glue on the lace, that's fine, just wipe it off because it's gonna turn clear anyways, so don't even trip about that. Don't worry about it, you're gonna be fine. Next, once it's majority clear, don't wait till it's 100% clear because then I mean it'll be 100% dry. You don't want it to be all the way dry until you start gluing down, so wait till it's like, you know, 90% clear, and then you're gonna start gluing down. And when you place it, you want to make sure and place it a little bit above the glue. Never try to place it behind the glue because then you're gonna have a lot of excess glue on your head and it's gonna be really hard to get it off. So you want to make sure that you place the glue, you place the lace in a way that if you have to add more glue, you can add more glue, but don't place it in a place where you're gonna have a lot of glue still remaining on the forehead, because it's just, I hate that. That really bugs me out and it's hard to get it off. So try to place it above where you had the glue and not behind where you have the glue, because it's always okay to go back and just add a little bit more glue to places that are not 100% glued down. Now I'm going ahead and glue in the middle down, But I think from now on, I'm going to start gluing the middle first, because once you glue one side down, it's like kind of constraint for the middle. So you got to really try to lift the lace up as much as possible, because one side is glued down. But if you do the middle first, then you're going to have enough space to move the middle, if you understand what I'm saying. And for this side, I'm taking the glue a little bit further, because I feel like I could manage more on this side than I was doing the other side, because I'm already on this side. So I'm gonna just go down a little bit further while I'm doing it. But the thing is that I already have one layer down, and that layer was clear. So now I'm gonna have to just do 2 extra layers once the middle is glued down. Alright, you guys, so now that it's mostly all glued down, when I'm done, I'm going to go back in and cut off some excess lace that is not glued down, and some lace that can go. You can't afford to cut off some of the lace because you don't have to have a lot of lace on. You always want to make sure that you cut off as much lace as possible, because the less lace you have on there remaining, the more likely it's going to have a scalp-like install, and you're going to just look melted all around. So now I'm parting out the baby hairs. She didn't want to say too dramatic, so I did something, a little calm, like 2 swoops and some sideburns. And I'm just combing the rest of the hair back, and I'm just taking out baby hairs that I think is suitable for this style, because she wants like a nice little swoop. So I just feel like one nice little swoop with baby hairs would look really cute, whatever the case is. And now I'm parting out the sideburns. And then once that's all parted out, I'm going to take my scissors and cut it straight across. Don't worry, because I'm going to cut it shorter with my razor when it's time to do the baby hairs. But for right now, I'm just cutting a little shorter so it could be more comfortable for her, so it wouldn't be hanging on her face. This part is vital. Definitely try it out. If you want a scalp like install, please try it and let me know how it goes. What you want to do is you want to take some Got to Be Good spray along with the wig dealer melting spray. You don't really need the wig dealer melting spray. I feel like you could do it with just Got to Be Good spray. Once you do that, you spray them both, or you spray what you have, which is the Got to Be Good spray most likely, and then you tie them down using an elastic band directly on the lace, and then along with another wrap band that's going to cover from the lace all the way to like the beginning of the hairline. Now that it's time to start sewing, I'm putting it to slow motion a little bit so you guys can see better. Alright, so you take your needle and you insert it into the ends of the weft. So how the ends are always like two ends because the wefts come doubled. So what you do to make it one, you put the needle straight through the ends of both. Then you would take the middle of the needle and just put it in the middle of the thread or the loop of the thread once it's tied at the end. I hope you guys know what I mean. Put it like that, pull straight through, and that's how you have it connected. Now that it's time to start putting it, attaching it to the braid itself, what you do is you will put the needle straight through the braid, and then you would take the weft and put it straight into the needle, double tie or double wrap, and then you pull it straight through. It's really that simple, really that easy, no mathematics. You don't have to sew perfect. All you have to do is make sure that you're sewing flat and that you're sewing tight. Not tight that is going to hurt the client, but tight to the point where you know it's not going anywhere. Because you want them to have a very long install. You want the install to last. If you're doing it yourself, you want to have a long install. You want your sewing to last. So I secure the ends of it twice by tying the same place twice, or sewing the same place twice, and then pulling straight through. I'm gonna skip to the middle of the back because you guys couldn't see what I was doing on the other side, so I just decided to skip that part so to where you guys could see. So as you guys can see me doing now, what I do is I take the needle and I insert it through the braid, then through the wefts, just wrap once and go under. I only double tie or go around twice at the ends to make sure the ends are extremely secure. Once I'm doing the middle section, I don't wrap twice, I just go under and pull through once, and just like that. Right now, I'll show you guys how I flip over. So what I do is when I get to the end, instead of sewing there, what I'll do is I'll just flip the bundle over, and I create tension by sewing the bundle completely to the second braid instead of the first braid. And like that, you create tension to just lay flat. I'm not sure if anyone does it this way either. This is just a way that I came up with myself because I felt like this would just work best for me. And even though with this method you can see the braids, it does not matter because once you get to the top, the hair will fall in a way where you can't even see those braids in the back. So, well, not in the back, but at the sides, you would not be able to see it once I get to the front. And once I sew that last bundle directly under the front, so it's gonna cover all of that, so don't even trip. The rest of the video I'm gonna speed up the sewing in process because I felt like I showed enough and that should be descriptive enough, and I don't want this video to be so long because I still have some more to show you guys, so I don't want it to be so long with this sewing part. But that's all I'm doing, just sewing, really repetitive. And once again, I'm gonna apologize for the angles from now because I don't know how people do tutorials and get every single thing, but I be trying and it don't be working. Like if it's either my hand is blocking it or I'm out the frame, it's always something. And if I'm doing somebody's hair, I'm not stopping to look at the camera because I'm trying to get them out as soon as possible because nobody wants to sit in so much chair all day. That's one. And two, I may have clients after, so I'm just trying to finish the install as neatly and as focusedly as possible. That's not a word. But also, if you go to someone to do your hair, you don't want it to be stopping every minute to look at a camera and make sure they're in frame and stuff. So that's why I try my best to just focus on what I'm doing and on my clients' hair because I just want to have give them the best experience as possible. And that could be kind of annoying if like you're getting your hair done and like every second they're stopping to look at the camera and stuff, because my sole priority is to make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing to my clients so that they can be happy. And so I'm gonna work on the angles. I'm gonna try to get my angles better for when I'm doing tutorials for you guys when it's on a client. But for the most part, this angle did work a little better. The angle I had before wasn't too good, but I did come up with this angle, so this should be a little better to show you guys exactly what I'm doing. And for the last bundle, what I do is I sew directly close to the frontal. Well, this is the last bundle, so I'm single wefting it, but once I get up here, what I'm doing is I'm sewing right up under the frontal. I don't sew on the frontal, but just sew right under it. Alright, ladies and gents, now the sewing is finished, I'm going to show you guys how to do the baby hairs. So I'm cutting it shorter, as I said I was going to do before. When I cut it with the scissors, I'm going to cut it shorter with the razor. So cut it to where you think is best or what best suits you. You want to cut it as short as possible if you're looking for a natural look, but this is short enough for me and the look that we were going for. And to do the baby hairs, I'm using some Lotta body mousse. I'm going to place the mousse right on the hair, and then I'm going to comb it out with my comb. And then when it's time to just start swooping, I'm going to start swooping. And I try my best not to use my hands so much and just let the baby hairs flow, because that's initially what you want to do. You want the baby hairs to flow as much as possible. And this part, you guys can see what I was doing with the sideburns. I'm sorry, but yeah, so we're just swooping and trying to just let the baby hairs do its own thing and swoop by for itself. Don't really use your hands to manipulate it too much. Just let it flow and do its own thing. And now I'm going back in on the next side, because this mousse dries up really fast. That's why you want to work fast when you're doing baby hairs with mousse, because for one, the lace is going to start lifting eventually if you take too long, and two, it dries up really fast. So that's how the baby hairs look. And I'm going to tie it with 2 wax strips. And I realized that the sideburns were not covered, so what I'm doing, I'm going back in and I'm forming it how I want to, and making sure that it dries like in my hand a little bit. That's why I'm just trying to play with it some and form it so that it can dry one time as I'm doing that. And it did dry, so I was good, and I could have left it and moved on. Now that it's done, I'm taking the wax strips off, and I'm going to just start combing out the babies a little bit and forming it some more. Also, for the styling, I did some flat iron curls, but let me tell y'all, I'm not that good at flat iron curls. That's why I didn't really film it, and I'm gonna save it until I know exactly how to do it, so I can explain how to do it. I don't want to just show you guys how to do something and I'm still learning myself. So once I get flat iron curls down packed, I'm gonna show y'all for sure. It's gonna be a bomb tutorial too, but I didn't want to show you guys something and I'm not really sure how to do it myself. Like, I know how to do it, but I'm not good enough to explain it. You understand what I'm saying? So yes, but once everything is done, I'm going back in and combing it out so that it can lay how it's supposed to lay. And I'm gonna keep combing it out. Then I'm gonna take my Luster's Renutrients wax stick that you get at your local beauty supply store or at Amazon, like I get everything else. Then I'm gonna spray for some Gossip Liquid spray, and that's how I get it to lay. And once it's all sprayed down and smoothened out, I'm gonna take my blow dryer to blow dry it in place, because you want it to lay in place. I'm going back in and cutting off some of that excess lace that I said before. You want to have as much lace off as possible. Take it all off if possible. Now I'm just spraying some of that black spray. I'm gonna leave the link to it in the description box down below. Then I just straighten it up with some foundation, and now I'm just manipulating the curls to really make it lay and fall how it needs to lay. and I can't wait to get better at flat iron curls because flat iron curls are so cute. But this is the finished look. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and I'm gonna see y'all in my next video. Period. Poo. Okay.